Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to discuss the IIIT's PGEE 2019 question paper. So let's get started right away. So the first question is, we are given a list of n strings, each of length at most n, and they are lexicographically sorted. So they are individually sorted. Now we need to apply the merge sort algorithm on them, and we need to make the entire array sorted. Okay, so they are asking what would be the worst case time complexity of this. So let us suppose that the length of all the strings is n. Okay, so that will account for the worst case. So let's initialize an array. So let's say it is ABC, ABC, EC, EED, CCD, EDF, CHI, and PAC. Okay, so this is our array. Now when we compare two strings, it takes some amount of time. So how much amount of time would it take? In worst case, we need to traverse the entire string, so it will take order of n time for comparison of two strings. Okay, now what we do in merge sort is, firstly we take the first and second element, compare them, and if the first element is larger than the second element, we swap them. Next we compare third and fourth and do the same process. Next we take the fifth and sixth and do the same process for them, and so on. So in this way we will get n by 2 arrays which are individually sorted. Now we again combine these arrays, then we get n by 4 arrays which are individually sorted. So let's do these operations on this array. So ABC comma BBC for the first array. For the second array it will be AD comma DEC. This is a simple merge operation. If the second element is smaller than the first element, we swap them. Okay, next one will be CCD comma EDF, and finally PAC comma GHI. Okay, so now we have 4 arrays which are individually sorted. Now we need to merge them again. So ABC, then AED, then BBC, and then DEC. And next we need to merge these two arrays. So first element will be BAC, then CCD, then EDF, and finally GHI. Okay, so now we get 2 arrays which are individually sorted. To find the final array, we need to merge them. Okay, so we do the merge operation again. Next will be AED, then PAC, then BBC, then CCD, then DEC, and we copy the rest from the second GHI. Now if you remember, the merge technique itself takes order of n time. So to compare two strings, we are doing order of n work, and for the entire merge operation, merging the array, we need order of n time. So that will be order of n into order of n, that will be n square time. So in the first level we are doing 4 merge operations, and each will take order of n time. Okay, so in total we'll be doing order of n square work in each level. Now we know that if in the initial level there are n number of elements, then in the next level there will be n by 2 elements. Okay, and then n by 4, n by 8 up to 1. Okay, so initially we started with 8, then 4, then 2, and then 1. Okay, so we see that if the size of the array is 8, we need to do the merge operations 3 times. Okay, and each merge operation takes order of n square time. So when we apply log on 8, it is equal to 3. So the complexity will be equal to number of levels into number of levels multiplied by time complexity in each level. So here it will be log n multiplied by n raised to 2 n square. So the correct answer here is option B, which is n square log n. Okay, let's move on to the second question. So we need to delete an arbitrary node from a binary heap which contains n elements. So they've also given that we can use extra space. Okay, so let's first discuss the case when we aren't given extra space. So in that case, we need to traverse the entire heap and find our element if it is there or not. If it is there, we delete it, and then we do the max simplify operations on the root. So that will take in worst case order of log n time if there are n number of elements. So in that case it will take order of n plus log n time. So in that case the answer would be C, but here we are given that we can use the extra space. So what we can do is we can hash every element in a hash map, and when we are asked to delete an element, we will first check if it exists in the hash map or not. Okay, if it exists, then we will remove it from the heap. We will remove it from the hash map and finally call the max simplify operation on the binary heap. Okay, so what will be the map contain? Map will contain the value stored in node, comma its index. So we will directly get the index in order of 1 time. So we will just go to that element of the heap and put their null, and then we'll call the max simplify operation on the root node. So that will take order of log n time. So the correct answer for this case is order of log n. Okay, for the second case, and we are asked to calculate the time complexity for the second case. So here the time complexity is P, order of log n. Let's move on to the third question now. So we are given an expression C not equal to n and is C not equal to n and q less than equal to 5. Okay, we need to find an equivalent expression using the De Morgan's law. So what we can simply do is negate q not of q equal to C equal to n or q greater than 5. Okay, so in this case the correct answer would be D, not of C equal to n or q greater than 5. Now to give you an idea about the De Morgan's law, it is like this. If we need to find the equivalent expression for this in terms of union and complement, we will do not of A or not of B. So the same thing we did it in the expression, and so the correct answer is D. D is the correct answer. Let's move on to the next question now. So consider two binary trees, T1 and T2, having the same number of leaf nodes. Then which of the following is are true? So need to find the true statement. Which of them is true? Okay, let's try this. So we are given that the number of leaf nodes are same. So let's try to construct some trees which have same number of leaf nodes. So 1, left child is 2 and right child is, let's say, 3. This is T1. Now let's define another 3. 1, one's left child is 2 and right child is 4. 2's left child is 4 and 4's left child is, let's say, 5. This is T2. So let's compare T1 and T2 now. So in T1 the number of leaf nodes are 2, that are 2 and 3, and in T2 the number of leaf nodes are again 2, that are 3 and 5. But notice that the number of nodes in T1 is equal to 3, number of nodes in T1 equal to 3, and number of nodes in T2 equal to 5. So we produced a counter example to make this statement false. So option A is eliminated. So let's now look for the option B. So for T1 the height is 1 and for T2 the height is 2. So again this option is eliminated. Height of T1 is 1, height of T2 is 2. Okay, so option B is again eliminated. We produced a counter example to prove false A and B. So let's now look if option C is correct or not. The number of nodes having 2 children is same in both the trees. So in T1 the number of nodes having 2 children is 1, that is the node 1 itself, and in T2 also the number of nodes having 2 children is 1, that is the node 1 itself. So the option C satisfies. But let's try on another 3 if it satisfies or not. Okay, because proving a statement true is difficult than proving a statement false, we just build a counter example to prove the statement false. Okay, so yeah, for option 3, one left node is 2, right node is 3, whose left node is 4. Okay, so this is the correct example. So we see that in T3 The number of leaf nodes are 2, that are 3 and 4. Number of nodes are equal to 4, which is not equal to T1 and neither T2, and height of T1 and T3 is not equal, so A and B are eliminated, and the C option satisfies that 1 is having 2 children and no other node is having 2 children. So option C is the correct answer for question number D. C is the correct answer. Okay, let me minimize it. Yeah. Question number 5. So we are given a function from natural number to natural number, and we need to find which function is onto but not 1 1. So f of 1 f of 2 equal to 1 and f of n equal to n minus 1. So 1 is mapped to 1, 2 is mapped to 1, 3 is mapped to 2, 4 is mapped to 3, and so on. Right. So in this case we can see that 1 and 2 are mapped to the same element 1, so it is not a one-to-one correspondence, right? So it is not 1 1, but we can see that all the elements in the natural number will be covered in the codomain. So 1 and 2 are mapped to 1, 3 is mapped to 2, 4 is mapped to 3, 5 is mapped to 4, and so on. So all the elements will be covered, so it is onto also, but not 1 1. So option A is the correct answer. But let's look for option B and C. This way we can practice more, right? Equal to 2 multiplied by n. So 1 will be mapped to 2, 2 will be mapped to 4, 4 will be mapped to 8, and so on. Right. So in this case we can see that there is a one-to-one correspondence from I to 2i. So 1 is mapped to 2, 2 is mapped to 4, 4 is mapped to 8. So this is a 1 1 function, and it is not onto, because the elements 3, 3, 5, then 7, 9, all the odd elements are not covered in this, so it is not onto, but it is 1 1. But we need to find the reverse one, so option B is definitely false. Let's examine option C. So 1 is mapped to 1, 2 is mapped to 4, 4 is mapped to 16, 3 is mapped to 9, and so on. So when we find this type of mapping, it helps us visualization better, so it makes our work easy in these types of question. So we see that it is a one-to-one correspondence, that is I will be mapped to I multiplied by I. There won't be any collisions, so it is a one-to-one correspondence, that is it is 1 1, but it is not onto. Why? Because the elements 3, 5, then 7, 10 are not covered in this, so it is definitely not onto. So option C is also false. So here the correct answer is option 1, that is f of 1 equal to f of 2 equal to 1 and f of n equal to f n minus 1. So A is the correct answer. Okay, let's move on further now. So we need to find the number of cells in a 8 variable K map. number of cells in a variable k map. Sorry, one variable k map. So one variable can take two values, that is true and false. So it will require two cells, two variable k map. So there are two variables and each can take two values. So 2 multiplied by 2 equal to 4. 3 variable k map equal to, so there are 3 variables and each variable can take two values. So 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 equal to 8. So for a general k variable k map, we have 2 power k. When we substitute the value 8 in place of k, we get 2 power 8 is equal to 256. So 256 is the correct answer. So on option B is correct for question 6. Okay, now moving to question number 7. Maximum possible number of edges in spanning tree having nodes n. So this is a very basic question. Let us define the definition of trees. So tree is an acyclic graph where number of edges is equal to number of nodes minus 1. So it is basically, let me redefine it, sorry. So tree is an acyclic undirected graph. Okay, forget it. Tree is such that it doesn't contain any cycle. So 1, 3, 4. Now if we connect 4 to 1, then a cycle will be formed, and thus the property of tree will be violated. So it no longer will remain a tree. So in this case, the number of edges are 3. So that is equal to n minus 1. So for any tree, the number of edges will be n minus 1 if the number of nodes are n. Okay, so option D is correct answer. So for question 7, option D is the correct answer. Let's move on further. So we are given a C code and we need to find the output for it. So the loop runs from 0 to 100, and if the loop variable is divisible by 3, we print great, and if it is divisible by 5, we print India. Okay, so we need to count how many times great and India will be printed. So for great, it will be printed at 0, 3, 6, 9 all the way up to 99. So 99 equal to 0 plus n minus 1 multiplied by 3. Okay, this is the formula for AP, nth variable of AP, or more formally nth value of AP. So n will be 34 here. Now for 5, will be printed at 0, 5, 10, 15, 20 all the way up to 100. So 100 equal to 0 plus n minus 1 multiplied by 5. So n equal to 21. So great will be printed 34 number of times and India will be printed 21 number of times. So the correct answer here is C. So great will be printed 34 times and India will be printed 21 times. So option C is the correct answer here. One thing I would like to notice is that these conditions are independent. So for every value of I, we will check if it is divisible by 3 and it is divisible by 5. In both cases, we'll print it if the condition satisfied. Okay, so finally the correct answer for this is option C. Let's move on to question number 9 now. It's very annoying. It's okay. So we are given a block. It is 132.123.52.76/27. We need to create 4 subnets out of it, and we need to give the address of the second subnet. Okay, so we need to do the subnetting here. So in this case, the number of bits in the network part is 27 and the number of bits in the host part is 5, right? So basically we can write it as dot 01. So this is the host part and this is the network part. Okay, 132.123.52.64 is the network, and in the network there are 2:5, there are 32 nodes. Okay, 32 IPs basically. Number of nodes would be 30 only. Anyway, it is not relevant for this question. So in subnetting, what we do is we borrow the required bits from the host part. So here we want to create 4 subnets, so we will take 2 bits from the host part. Okay, so if we want to create 2 subnets, then we will take 1 bit, 4 subnets, then we will take 2 bit, 8 subnets, then we will take 3 bits, and so on. So 132.3 dot 52 dot 0101. Host part we don't care. So for the first subnet, address will be 132.123.52.01000000. that is 132.123.52.64. okay, since the number of hosts in each subnet is equal to 8, we will just add 8 in the previous address 132. So address of second block will be 132.123.0100000. So this will be equal to 132.123.52.72. This will be the address of the second subnet. For the third subnet, 132.123.52.0100. So this will be equal to 132.123.52.80. And for the fourth subnet, sorry, it is 123.52.010110000. Will be equal to 132.123.52.88. so we need to find the address of the second subnet. So it is 132.123.52.72 /29 because there are 8 number of hosts in each subnet. So none of the option matches here, so the correct answer is option D. D is the correct answer here. Okay, none of this. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. So in a microprocessor, the address of the new next instruction to be executed is stored in A stack pointer, B address latch, C program counter, and D general purpose register. Okay. So the address of the next instruction is stored in program counter. This is a theory based question. So let us say we are running a script. It will be run sequentially, line by line. So the address of every instruction will be stored in the memory, but the address of the next instruction is stored in the program counter. So when we want to fetch the next instruction, we will just go to the program counter and find its address, and we will fetch it, run it, and this cycle will go on, right? So the correct answer for question number 10 is program counter. Okay, now for question number 11. Frequency is given as 2 gigahertz. And we need to find the clock time. So time equal to 1 divided by frequency. This is the 8th standard physics. So 1 divided by 2 multiplied by 10 power 9. Is equal to 0.5 nanosecond. So the correct answer for this question number 11, is 0.5. Okay, so similarly, if we want to find the frequency given time, so we will just invert time, that is frequency equal to 1 by 10 and time equal to 1 by frequency. Okay, so that's it for this video. There are lot many questions to solve in this question paper. This is not the complete question paper. We'll be solving all the questions, but if you want to watch the next videos, please subscribe to my channel so that when I upload the video, the notification pops up. Okay, and please share my video to all your friends and mates. It will benefit them too. Thank you very much.